I would like to help you out a little bit more with this particular chapter, Chapter 10, by sharing some information, some quick steps that actually a student shared with us today in class regarding descriptive statistics in healthcare. So in Chapter 10 of the textbook, under the variance computations and the correlation computations, variance from page 230 and the correlation from pages 236 through 239, I want to go ahead and share with you some shortcuts that we can use in Excel that, like I said, were shared with us today thanks to a student who was very astute and picked up that these were available inside of Excel. So if we did this manually, like for instance variance starting on page 229, you can see that the actual formula is pretty lengthy. And it's nice to be able to manually figure something out like this, but it takes a lot of time. You can tell by just this page alone in the textbook on page 229 that it tells you step by step what to do. And at the bottom it talks about the order of the computation, how to get your actual answer for your variance. And so at the top of page 230, it gives us what this looks like. We have a particular set in a table, column 1 through 4. It's got patient length of stay. It's got column 3 has the length of stay minus the mean, and the mean is 4. And the way we got 4, just to refresh you, on page 229, we're looking at a particular group of days, the length of stay, for 14 patients. So if we added up all of those lengths of stay, which as you can see here, we added them up, we've got 56. So 56 divided by 14 patients, that's our total patient number of 14, will give you 4. And so that's 4 days is our actual mean or average for this particular variance computation that we're working on. So a quick way to figure out how to get the variance, super quick, crazy quick. I'm going to just put my answer inside of this particular cell. So I'm going to hit the equal sign, then I'm going to start typing variance, VAR, and you'll see that right here we've got a VAR. Double click it, and then what you're going to do is you're going to go over and you're going to select these numbers here. For all 14 patients, you're just going to select the lengths of stay. It populates here, as you can see, and you're going to hit Tab, and it's going to give you your answer. And take this back down to, just 2 decimal places. So as you can see at the top of page 230, the entire equation is laid out there, and it does equate to 18.46. So that could not have been any easier, and the student that did that today, I thanked her profusely. So that is how to get your variance in Excel. Boom, quick, easy peasy. So let's talk about correlation. So for correlation, I took, and we're on page 236 right now. So flipping it over, and let me back up a minute because you want to wonder why we did the variance. So what the variance is trying to tell us is basically, and it tells you this on page 230. In this example, the size of the variance is influenced by one length of stay of 18 days. The more the values in a distribution are different from each other, the greater the variance and standard deviation. So normally, if you've got a standard grouping with lengths of stay, it's not going to have such outliers, such as for this one, 18 days. That was the outlier. So that actually influenced and showed us a variance more so than not. We wouldn't have had a high number of 18.46 had we not had that 18 in there as far as that outlier of length of stay. So I wanted to mention that. So correlation. So we are on page 236, starting on 236, and you can see from what starts at the bottom of 236, we've got the raw values, and what these represent, the mean, the X bar, represents the number of phone calls per week to make an appointment to see a new psychologist. The Y equals the number of actual visits to the psychologist plus walk-ins. So they're wanting to see if there's a correlation between these two. And so if you'll look at the top, actually the whole of page 237, you'll see it looks pretty detailed. You've got your sum x, you've got your sum y, you've got your sum x squared, sum y squared, and so forth. So it's pretty lengthy. So if you manually calculated this out, it'd probably take you, I would say, about 15 minutes or more to figure this out. So we're going to show you the easy way to do this. And so if you'll flip over to page 238, you'll see the answer for correlation is 0.97. And so to get this, I'm going to sit myself here in this cell, equal sign, and so I'm going to type in correlation, start typing C-O-R-R, and you see I get that that pops up for me. Double click, and then I'm going to go over and select that group of numbers, and then comma, and then I'm going to select this group of numbers. And then I'm going to hit tab, and it gives me 0.97, which, as you can see at the top of page 238, is the answer. So this is trying to tell us, and it gives you this little bit of narrative underneath that answer at the top of page 238. In this example, the correlation 0.97 is a very strong positive correlation. Although causation cannot be implied, it can still be said that there is a strong correlation, direct relationship between X and Y. In this case, there's a very strong correlation between the number of appointments made and the number of actual visits made with a psychologist. And it does state there, calculating the correlation can be a lengthy process, especially if there are a large number of subjects. It's good to know how to process something by hand, but if you have the ability to shortcut it like this, and you're going to be working somewhere, you should have access to Excel all the time. This should not be something you have to manually figure out. So hopefully this has been helpful, and let me know, or your instructor know, if you have any questions. Thanks so much.